Welcome to episode number 9 of the WireTap podcast with your
And
host Alex and Carlos.
what's up, everybody? Welcome
Carlos,
back. Yeah, man.
very
How you doing,
important.
man? How you doing? You doing all right
Well,
today?
I'm doing great, but we got some housekeeping rules really quick,
By
and
the
one
way,
of those
before you
is
get to your housekeeping rules, it looks like the housekeeper in that room behind you put a nice little plant back there. That's really
it's
nice.
giving life to my room because I don't get out much. This is my cave. I don't leave this, So it's like it's
Ah,
sometimes I
that's great.
crave that Mother Nature.
You mean you don't see sunlight, man?
No, man. But
Such a
listen,
whoop,
real quick.
bro.
Well, hold on. House rules. We got. Want to let our listeners know that we on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube, and we got a brand new. Which one is it, Carlos?
iHeartRadio, guys. We're on iHeartRadio now. We've officially been able to conquer 4 platforms to serve you in the capacities that you are focused on, that you like, that perhaps maybe you tend to go more, lean more towards. So, as Alex has said, it's YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and of course,
Spotify.
there you go.
Spotify.
Spotify. Yeah, man. Spotify,
No, no, but
YouTube,
listen, guys. We
iHeartRadio,
wanna appreciate all the listeners that are out there. If you guys can
and Apple
share with
Music.
your friends, and family members, or just share with people who think they can get some value out of the show, we would appreciate it. That way, it'll help us just grow and continue to provide some value to everyone that's out there listening to us, and we appreciate that. And we'll go
One of
ahead and
the
kick off the show.
Have you seen some of the analytics, man? That we've got listeners all the way out in California to the East Coast. So we've got from coast to coast, from Cali to New York, man. I'm excited about that. So welcome again, as Alex has said. I don't know about you, Alex, but have you seen some of the, I got I guess you could say a question the other day on one of our platforms. They were asking what, when it comes to their finances, right? When it comes to how they handle their money, the question was, can you simplify how you budget your finances? So what I did was I thought to myself, okay, I thought we've covered this, but I think it's totally okay to cover it
Oh no, for
again.
sure, for sure.
That's which is I'm totally cool with, but I've always operated under the 50-30-20 rule. I don't know. I think you have a different set of rules, Alex, that you operate
I
by.
do.
But for me, it's the 50%, of course, goes into anything that is a necessity, right? Anything that I need to cover. Sometimes it doesn't always hit the 50% mark, right? But I give myself that kind of wiggle room. And then, of course, when it comes to, look, those necessities are, your non-negotiables. Let me just say that. I don't want anybody to get to
Yeah, you got to
confuse
break
what
it
that
down. You
means.
got to break it
Yeah,
down
yeah,
for
yeah,
everyone.
yeah. I definitely should. I'm talking like housing, whether that's mortgage, whether that's rent. When it comes to your bills, whether that's a car payment, whether that's credit cards, anything that you've got to pay that it's hard for you to get out of, even loans, whether they're secured, unsecured, doesn't matter. Those are necessities. You've got to take care of those, because if you take care of those, you'll live a different life. You'll live a good life. You'll live a comfortable life. And you certainly want to focus on that. So 50% of my revenue, where I intend not to overextend myself, of course. And then I get into the 30-20, right? The 30, I get into my wants. That's that dining, right? That's that entertainment. That's that money that if I've got that opportunity to do that and to break it down that way, I'll do it. And then the 20% are strictly dedicated to my financial goals, whether that's paying off debt, whether that's putting money away for retirement, investments, things of that nature. I tend to work off of that 50-30-20. So for me, those of you that are asking, that specific person who asked, that is the way I do my finances. That's the way I budget. Sometimes I will say this. There are times, right, where that 50-30-20 could be, 40-40-20, depending on what's going on that particular month. But I try to stick and I try to keep my discipline on that 50-30-20. Alex, what about you, man?
So I'm a little bit different. I agree to a certain degree your beginning portion, right? A 50-30-20 rule.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I like to do, it's actually a little bit different. You focus your 50% on all your bills, take care of all your bills. Um 20% would be take care of you first, right? So that's me. For me, that's either savings, and then and then your other 20 or 30 at this moment in time could be all your wants and everything. That's the beginning portion, but I like to change it up once you achieve a certain level of savings, right? Once you achieve a certain number that you're comfortable in case of emergency pops up and you
So
have
you set a
money.
threshold for your savings.
So for example, yes, I set
Yeah,
goals every year, a certain money. I had to hit this dollar. After that, everything starts
yeah,
going in
yeah, yeah.
investments. So this is why I change it up. Once you achieve that level of savings that you want to achieve, um, so I like to do that 30% initially. You like so 50, 30 upfront savings, and then the 20% your wants. Once you get to that level of comfortable of savings, I change and I go 50, 20, 20, 10. And what I mean is 50% all your bills and responsibilities, 20 continue doing a little bit of savings, 20 would be your wants, and then 10% of that goes towards investments. So now you're at liberty to do more investments, acquire more, like stocks, for example, if that's what you're into, or maybe you're doing something else where you want to maybe saving towards real estate, right? You're trying to get a house later
Yeah,
on
no,
to rent or
absolutely.
whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you get another bank account, and and here's my secret: if you guys are not so able to save or keep your money, you're not really good at keeping your books in order, and you just want to be like not think about it too hard. What you do is you open several banking accounts, and what I mean is you have one that's your regular checking everyday, whatever you're going to use for your account. Another one is checking accounts for your bills. So if let's just say you're married or you have a partner, you get one of your checks to go automatically to your bills checking account. You get the other check to go into your normal savings account, and then you got your savings account, right? So what you do is you put all your money that's your play money, for example, it's going to go into one checking account. Your bills account, that's where you're going to automatically move all your money towards paying off your bills. That could be your mortgage, car payments, whatever you want. Like that money automatically from your normal checking account hits that checking account that's for bills,
Hmm.
and then you move your money into savings. So now you don't even have to think about it. All the money that's left over in your first checking account, which is your play money or your wants, right? It's money that you're able to spend. All your bills and your mandatory things that have already been moved the money aside, out of sight, out of mind. That's money gone, and you don't think about it. And I think that helps. For myself, it helps tremendously, and I'm pretty sure there's people out there that if you can do that, it'll help you keep a little bit more organized and know where your money is going towards your savings and go from there.
I've never. I guess it just boils down to what type of discipline works for you, right? There's got to be a
Mhm.
method to the madness. For me, I don't necessarily use multiple accounts, and that's because I keep everything on spreadsheets. So I break down that one account into a spreadsheet that has various categories, and then I know where I'm at the end of the, whether that's a biweekly period, a weekly period, or a monthly period. And I know that as long as
Let
I've been
me
disciplined enough, my numbers will balance out on my spreadsheet. So,
let
but
me add.
that's another way of doing it, of course.
So let me add that the reason why I do that way is because let's just say you sometimes
It's called
you
she
may have
money. Do you know what that is?
she money,
Yeah, she money. You know what
like a
that
she
is?
said or something. No, probably not.
No, 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 no. She money is money she don't know about.
No. So no, that's a different savings account. I just kidding. But no, it's what I was gonna say
Folks,
though is
make sure you have an account that's called the she money account. Money she don't know about.
you don't know about. No. You know how you get like say you go somewhere or you got a bill that's pending and it may take a couple days to clear out.
Yeah,
You're keeping
yeah.
your record books, but if you have one account and all your bills are going and you're spending money for groceries and going to the movies and going to a restaurant, all that stuff is pending. So you can't really know if you're not keeping those record books, right? But if you already move all your bills to the other, it doesn't matter if all these are pending or if it takes a couple of days, because that's money that you already assume that is gone because that's your bills. The money that you have in the other account, it's easier for you to spend because when you go to a restaurant, it's normally right away, right? So unless you're following my other rule, where is use that venture card or your Amex card
Your credit
to
card.
pay all your bills to get correct to your credit card to get all those points, right? And then
Now,
you
let me ask
using
you
your
this: Do you?
go ahead.
Sorry, Alex. So, do you have enough in that account that you call it your whatever fund, right? I
Mhm.
call it a slush fund if that's the case, where everything, just anything that you need to do, your slush fund that's in there. Do you keep a cushion in there, almost to? I mean, ultimately, the way I see that is that can get dangerous, though, don't you think, man? Do you
Which
keep a
one?
balance? Your slush fund, where you use it to go out because things are processing, they take time to
Hmm.
come out. Do you keep a balance shield in there just in
No,
case?
I don't have anything in there. That be as far as that's money that
Hmm.
obviously you still have a mental thing where you know what you're spending and you gotta and you know what what do you have for your next paycheck, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. So
Yeah.
automatically you move money to your bills, money to your savings, money that just left over for all your wants. If you use it all, great. If not, you still got money left over for more. Take that money,
Just
throw
don't
it
get into
towards.
overdraft fees. That's my
Oh, no, no,
concern
no.
with something like that. Yeah.
No, because you gotta know, dude. And if it is, and then you got a big purchase, and maybe you didn't, well, you move money from your savings over to that to cover it up. But you
Yeah.
don't want to do savings is money gone. Think about it that way. So this is why I tell some other people is like, oh, do you live like paycheck to paycheck? Because you hear that all the time, right, Carlos?
Oh,
Like people
absolutely.
living paycheck.
Absolutely.
So I don't. First of all, I'm happy to say, right, that I don't live that way, but mentally I do,
Mm,
right?
mm.
Because if you're following this discipline rules, you're taking your money and automatically moving it towards savings, taking that money, throwing it into investments. You have to be disciplined and you have to pretend like you're living that paycheck to paycheck because you're trying to make your money eventually work for you, right? That's the ultimate goal. So you gotta, in a way, think that you are living paycheck, you know? I don't know if
I
you
would no, no, no. I get it. It's a very intricate process that you've got. To be honest with you, man, it can get complicated for those who aren't disciplined, and you don't know what you have in different accounts. That can get complicated. But at the end of the day, someone like you know where your money's at, and you know that day before you take off and jump in that car and ride out in that Range Rover. The reality is, exactly, right, what your goal and what your limit is
well,
that day.
listen, if I'm being truthful here, I got one, two, three, four, five. I got six different accounts, right? So I got um, two of them are checkings. One of them is emergency funds. The other one is a backup to that emergency fund, and
Yeah.
then I have one that's invest. It's all invested, and so but I don't count that because I have it someone else manages that money, and then that money goes, and then I have another one that I throw it into my E-Trade account. So it's like you got to know where your money's at and how you're moving it. But at the ultimate, it's really you got to be disciplined. And honestly, if I get in a pinch or we buy so, it's like, dude, I just move money over from my
Yeah.
savings over, and then you
Yeah.
cover that.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's the same thing, but I mean, w- I've got four accounts, so uh,
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
yes,
Is it's,
I
it's
get that.
you,
But it's for me, it's I work off of a spreadsheet, but that's only because that's my discipline, right? That's the way it works for me.
mhm.
And I've got to watch. I really do, man. I don't know about you guys out there listening, but I watch every penny that goes in and I watch every penny that comes out, right?
Oh, I
Like,
watch it. I mean, I watch everything too because you got to know where your money's going. Sometimes my wife gets a little bit buying too much Amazon.
mm,
Everybody's buying, so it's like you got to like, okay, what's that for? And it's not like you're controlling anything because I don't control how she spends or anything.
of
But
course. No, no,
it's
no, of
like
course.
you got to know that okay, well, I had this for this, and we were trying to do this. And I operate just the same way everybody else does. It's like, oh, this is we're using this for this is I'm not pulling out of savings. Like I told you, savings is money gone for me. So
Yeah.
it was like, oh, we don't have
Non-existent.
money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't budget for that. We have to wait for that. It's like that. I didn't have that in my budget. It was like, oh, you want that? Well, let's budget that out, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of my way. And you know what? It starts off. If I can encourage anybody out there, it starts out slow, and then you start building it, start building it. It's like, wow, I got 10, I got 15, wow, I got 20. Oh, dang. And it keeps going and going.
Or, you know,
And
you're
then
sitting on 50, 60 grand. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you're sitting on it. You're just like, wow, okay, well, I need to put this money to use. And now it's like, okay, welcome to the club. Now you got to start investing. Let's figure out where to put that money and do your research, do your homework.
Yeah, no, no, no. I like it. I really do. I like it. It's, again, it's a different approach. It works for everybody in different ways. And I would say to our listeners and even viewers, right? Tell us how you do it, right? Tell us the way you make your budget happen every month. You know, I know some that will probably say, "Hey, man, I just swipe my card and and whatever balance at the end of the day I've got is whatever balance at the end of the day," which works for you, right? But when you've got goals, right, you need to set these disciplines down. You need to come up with a rule, whether that's a 50-30-20, whether that's a 50-20-20-10, whichever way you want to go, you've
And
got to
that
break
hey,
down
and
those
by the in that
categories.
beginning, and at the beginning, it could only be 80% towards your bills because you got a lot of credit cards. You made some bad decisions and you overspent and you, so at the beginning it could be 80-20, right? Where you're spending 80 and you're doing your wants. But
Necessities.
guess
Yeah.
what? Take your wants to 10% and then do all everything and throw 10% to savings. Get that emergency fund started ASAP, right? And
Quickly.
like I said, or it could be 90%. But the thing is, you gotta slowly start working where you start trying to do one of these rules. I don't know which one you want to do, but any of these rules is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. If there's anything that I would encourage you to do, if you're wondering, how do I put these goals together? You know, what are some of my goals? I would say if you don't know where to start, I would encourage you to take 12 months of your living expenses. Now, removing the wants, removing entertainment, stuff like that, and focusing strictly on necessities. If you want a goal, make it your goal to save 12 months of your living expenses, right? So, whatever that number is for you, take that number, multiply it by 12, and that should be your goal for the year.
To me, man, spending money on food, right? It's like it's like because going to P.F. Chains, it's off the chain, right?
Mm, mm,
But
mm,
sometimes it's like, well,
mm.
when you're trying to go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because I know
Yeah, you can't
I
pull
live
that
that
off. Yeah,
life.
you
I
can't
used
do
to
that.
be
Yeah.
but
Yep.
it's like
Yep. Been there.
Fridays
Yep.
is let's relax a little. Maybe Saturday and then Sunday you pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to go crazy all the time, and slowly you can start saving some of that money or using it towards paying one of your credit cards or something, whatever
Right,
you got.
right, right. Start making some serious dents, whether that's towards your debt, whether that's towards your savings, but really develop a discipline as you move forward. Now, here's the thing. Now, this is personal finance. I wanted to pick your brain, Alex, on uh, since we're talking about finance. You know, when it comes to you brought up a good point the other day. Let's talk about business, right? I love entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I love making life happen that way. You know, I read a quote the other day, and the quote is paychecks are designed to crush your dreams. So, as an entrepreneur, whether that's a side hustle, whether that's something that you're moving towards, there is something that comes about that, you know, sometimes I don't know about you, but I remember the other day you were asking me the question, you know, when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to starting the journey of being an entrepreneur or starting a side hustle, whatever the case may be, some of the things that usually come across people's desk or people's mind is they start to wonder, perhaps maybe I need a partner, right? Perhaps maybe I need someone, whether that's a sidekick, whether that's someone that is truly a partner.
Or
Sometimes when you begin that journey, you need some help. I mean, would you agree to that?
yeah, yeah. Or and it's not even I'm not sure. Go ahead and go with your finish your thought there and then we'll go because I know that the listener was interested in the so one of the questions was how do you get your if your partner, or your loved one or your husband or your boyfriend or your wife, your girlfriend is doing their side hustle
Yeah.
and you got those motivations, but maybe you're not as good at it as maybe she is, or maybe she is not as good at doing it as you are, right? So it's like, how do you become a better partner, or when do you know when, hey, maybe my hustle is not working out, let me see what I can do to help her hustle, and
Yeah.
how do you go from there? And go ahead with your thoughts, and then I'm gonna want to go and expand a little bit more in depth of what I think, and then go from there.
Yeah. Well, in that specific scenario, you've got to twist some things because I was going to lead into some of the characteristics of do's and don'ts of business partnerships, right? But if
Okay.
it's a partner that is your, whether that's your wife or your husband or your significant other or your side chick or your side piece, I don't know. Whatever the case may be, ultimately, if one person is doing better at the other piece, I would say you always need to look at the numbers, right? Anytime you start to evaluate or assess what is going to work out, much better, if the probability rate is higher, if the success rate is higher, if the key performance indicator, your KPI, is greater in certain, look, the numbers will never lie, right? I've always said
Hmm.
that numbers don't tell the whole story, but they do tell a good bit of the story. So my response to that particular scenario is you should know when it's time to quit, when one hustle or one particular journey is out hustling and outperforming the other. I would say to you or that individual, don't overthink it, right? Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Ultimately, when that support comes in to something that's overperforming, bro, imagine the magnitude, right? Imagine the impact, imagine the success, imagine the results when you throw someone else into the formula, right? And they come alongside you and they help you as you move forward, right? So I would say always look at the numbers and be real with the numbers. Don't overinflate, right? Don't try to build in cushion that really isn't there. I'm not talking unrealized stuff. I'm talking real time, realized gains, real numbers. Minimize your burn rate as much as possible. And at the end of the day, are there sales? Is it generating revenue? What does that look like? Is it surpassing others? Look, again, I always will always go
No, so
back to follow the numbers.
follow the numbers. Okay, so there's a different approach. I think you took it very analytical, which is okay. Um,
Yeah.
I think because you got to do a balance, right? So it's figuring out how to have a healthy relationship with your family, with your family. Where that could be your wife, your kids, or your husband, if it's the other way around,
Yeah.
right? There's no perfect couple out there, and it's really hard to balance work and your side hustle, and also having a healthy relationship. So knowing, having a dialogue, having an open dialogue, know where you can help, because we all get, we can get all cut up in our day-to-day hustle, right? You can
Yeah.
get busy, you can get soaked into it, and then you start forgetting your family time, and that starts creating a little bit resentment, right? Because it's like, dude, you're
Yeah.
doing this, so you got to prioritize, I think, your family and also what you're doing, and then talking. I think the key thing here is communication. And then also, say she may not be good at social media, or you may not be good, but you're good on doing this back end, doing connections. That's how you help, right? It's like, okay, how do I help? Or maybe you're helping by taking care of the kids, making sure everything else, so she can focus a little bit more, or you're focused a little bit more on what you're doing. And I think both parties have to see that. If you're the one that's actually doing the side hustle, you also got to acknowledge, well, I couldn't be doing this if my partner is not focused on the kids, or focusing on our regular things, in order for me to focus on this. I think that's where they're going, is like, how do you balance, so it's not a competition, and don't treat it like a competition. That's what I would say. And I'm not, I've started to do a little bit stuff here and there, and you work through those kind of scenarios. But it's kind of, don't take it as a competition, because you're both guys working together, right?
So
And it
the way you're
complement.
seeing, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm sorry.
I
Go
was
ahead.
no, I was just
Complimenting
gonna
each
say, so
other.
yeah, complement each other. In the other person, if you're the one that's providing or doing this hustle and is giving you guys money, or doing this, is making sure that, hey, that person acknowledges the other person, because the stuff that they're taking care of is also important.
So I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. I took it down. I took it in such of an approach of an assessment, right? What is going to work
Hmm.
out, what's not. I feel like what you're doing and what you're referring to, Alex. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. It's the philosophy in an environment where there are nothing but hustlers, right? In an
Hmm.
environment that both of you, no matter how you are identifying yourselves, you're both hustlers. And what is the philosophy around that hustle? If anything, I would say what you've done is exactly that, Alex. You have established parameters, right? You have established some non negotiables. And I think that's exactly what needs to happen in a relationship. If you are in a relationship where both of you are hustlers, and time and that time constraint and that battle as to what's going to happen next is going to take place, and something is going to over prioritize something else, I would encourage those individuals to sit down, set those parameters, have that discussion, right? Healthy discussion, and set real rules. Hey, look, from this time to this time, on this day and this day, look, you both have schedules, right? You both have schedules. You both need to sit down, review your schedules, and that's what you call communication. Listen,
Yeah.
I know exactly the way that works. So I would say to you, honestly, or to whoever is listening, and this was your question, strictly focus on those rules, those non negotiables. When you begin to focus and break those down, your communication is one, going to be through the roof, number one. Two, when those things come, you both have those clear and set expectations, and no one is trying to figure out what the other one is trying to do, right? Is this happening because of that? No, no, no. We've established these parameters, we've established these rules. We can't negotiate on those because this has to happen in order for this to take off. So I would say exactly that, Alex. No, you're right.
So
You need to
so
establish
Pip,
those ground rules.
yeah, so it's that not so fun conversations, right? But I
Oh,
think it's
absolutely.
key.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's key, and also humbling ourselves to say, hey, when you screw up, you screw up, right? And I think if you're the hustler, you also got to make sure that you make time or prioritize scheduling yourself time, if that's what it takes, to spend time with your partner, to spend time playing with your kids, because that's important too, right?
Absolutely.
And to take it back a little bit to the analytical part, where you were saying is, when does it make sense? Say both of us are hustlers, and then one of them is taking off and the other one's not, but we still got kids and we got other obligations. Someone has to take care of them. So that's where it makes sense. Okay, well, I need to drop my hustle, right? Or maybe because it's not producing as
Or
much as the
find a
other one.
different time, right? Find a different
Yeah,
time, you know?
yeah,
Find
correct.
and don't get upset when things don't go accordingly.
So here's a good story that someone
Yeah.
told me, right?
Want to hear a
It's like,
story? Want to hear a story?
yeah, here's a story. So you got a husband and a wife,
Story
right? And they're
time.
make this business, and they want to see where it goes. So they start making money, 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 and the business goes up to $300,000 in profit a
Okay.
year. The
Okay.
husband says, hey, I'm good. This is what I think I'm good here. I don't want to, but the wife is more ambitious. She wants to make the business go into $1 million business. So he's like, hey, I want to step back and kind of do a smaller role, and we can hire somebody that'll do that, so we can take it that 100 business, and that's perfectly fine. But to the person that's more ambitious, don't be mad when your husband, right, is sitting on the couch because he wanted to be at a certain comfortable level, and you're the one that was ambitious that wanted to take the business to $1 million. That's what the story goes for that particular couple. And it's like, well, know that he's taking care of other things, and you chose to go this route what he didn't want to. He wanted to be more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's kind of where I go back to acknowledge what the other person is doing, and know that both of you work to a certain level to get to where you're at.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, listen, in any relationship, and I'll say this to whoever that may be, in any relationship, whether that's a romantic relationship, whether it's an emotional relationship, whether it's a business relationship, at the end of the day, in any kind of relationship that you are engaged in, there was always going to, it's non negotiable. There will always need to be compromise. If you don't learn to compromise, okay, if you do not learn to compromise and understand the value of taking a step back, right? Or taking a moment to just regain focus, reprioritize, all of that to say, you're gonna have to compromise. Or else, let me just say this, Alex, it's never gonna
Mm.
work. It's
Yeah,
never going to
correct.
work. It's never going to happen, no matter how hard you hustle. If you don't learn to give and release, it's never going to happen. It's the 50-50 rule. If we're talking rules, right? It's 50-50. It's give or take. Compromise is going to be necessary in any relationship. But at the end of the day, you've got to realize what's more important.
And talking about
Billion.
rules, yeah. So talking about rules, we're on a the 7 rules of life. We're
Oh,
at
man, here's the other
episode
one. Yeah, yeah.
number 5. So we've already went through a couple of these. And if you haven't caught up with them, go back and listen to one of our previous shows and get
What
caught
number
up
are
on
we
the
on,
on all
man?
the. So we're on number 5, which number 5 is stay calm. It's okay not to have everything figured out. Know that in time you'll get there.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
Yeah, let me say it one more time. Stay calm. It's okay not to have everything figured out. Know that in time you'll get there.
Yeah. You ever
And
been there,
dude, I
Alex?
don't I don't know how you feel about this one, but I
I'm in.
this one is kind of deep because I don't know if you I'm pretty sure you've been told this before. It's like, dude, you need to figure it out by your parents, right? Our parents are probably the biggest ones that I can think of
They're
that
problem
are
solvers, man.
it's like, dude, figure it out. Oh, you don't know what to do, you need to figure it out. You need to do this, you need to figure it out. And you know what, Carlos, I don't know about you, but I still don't have it figured out.
No, man. No, no.
Dude, think about this. Think about it. I'm mid 30s here,
Yeah.
and I still don't have it figured out. I feel like I'm barely getting
Ditto.
started.
Yeah,
I
man.
feel like I've made some way financially, and I feel like, okay, I'm able to do stuff. I'm looking for another. I feel like I'm barely just getting started, dude. To be
Yeah, yeah.
honest,
And you
right?
feel late to the game, right?
No, but you know what? I don't feel late to the game because this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
my
yeah.
process. Is my
Gotcha.
process. Is my
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is my
yeah.
time. You have a different timeline than I have a different timeline, and every listener out there has a different timeline. We're all gonna get there eventually if you apply yourself and you work hard at it and you educate yourself, increase your value. But think about it like this: when people tell you figure it out, we tell our kids stop saying that. I don't say it's like there's certain ways, but when you're trying to encourage other, like, oh, you need to figure out what you're gonna do for college, what you're gonna do for life. It's like, dude, I don't have it figured out.
It's okay to just be still.
It's okay. We're in the
And I think
process.
that's
We're
exactly
learning.
what this rule is. Would you agree? It's okay to be
Yeah.
still. It's okay to sit tight. It's okay to just be, right?
Yeah.
But you also have to remember, Alex, I think one of the things that you're saying more and more, and I'm sorry I cut you off, is the pressures that come, right? It's life's pressures, which is why I asked, do you feel like you're a little late to the game, right? I do. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I feel like I'm late to the game sometimes. And now, not every game, right? Not every
Hmm.
game. There's some games that, man, I'm walking away from the court thinking, yeah, good luck, chump, right? But there's some games that I'm like, hey, somebody gonna pass the ball, right?
But
Somebody
you
gonna,
but you know what?
yeah.
You gotta learn. I think you gotta learn to let go of some of those. Right? It's like, okay, well, man, dang it, how many times we said we missed out on this stock?
Oh
I mean, think
man,
about it just on GameStop. Maybe if you would,
right?
people would invest. It's like,
No,
oh, I'm late to the game. Okay, bad example, right? Because obviously I don't encourage GameStop because of all the reasons that we talked about. That
Yeah,
next
yeah.
blockbuster, blah blah blah. But all I'm saying is, sometimes if you are late to the game or you miss out on the game, don't beat yourself up for it, right? There's always going to be more opportunities to come. You're always going to have another shot. It's okay, right? Not to have it figured out. And I honestly, I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm doing some other stuff. I got other projects, and we got some projects that we're working together. And but it's okay now to have it figured out.
No, absolutely. But again, I go back to those are pressures that we put on ourselves, man. And they're pressures that are real to us. We all have it. Okay, for example, and here's what I mean by that. Some of you may be wondering, well, what do you mean by that? Well, for some of us out there, you expect to be married by a certain age,
Mhm.
to have kids by a certain age, to buy your first home at a certain age, to get this particular piece of financial stability in your life at this age. And it's great to have these goals, but when you are not there in those moments, you begin to apply pressure on yourself, right? You begin to apply this pressure on yourself and you go back and say, man, I'm missing out. I need to jump on it. And what happens is you end up spinning your wheels on something that the reality may be it's not time yet. Would you agree, Alex?
Yeah, no, for dude,
Especially when you're thinking about
I
rule number 5?
no, I do agree. And look, let me make sure that we don't get this confused. And when I'm saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna go to college because I haven't figured it out. I'm not gonna do this." That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And let's you got to go deep into it. What I'm saying is, it's okay if you go into college for something and you change your major because you change your passion. Your passion is now this. What I'm saying is those kind of scenarios. It's okay that you don't have it figured out what you're gonna do for life because we all have nowadays people are living longer and longer, so we have time, right? If you're younger than us, you still have time, man. Some of these, I think Walmart, the guy, and I can go back, he probably started Walmart when he was 42,
yeah,
right?
Sam
I mean,
Walton. Yeah, man.
yeah, but he had money, of course, whatever, right? But the point is, he started it at 42, and
Right.
he probably hadn't figured it out, and he was barely getting started at 42. you know it's other people have started probably younger or older. But what I'm saying is, it's okay if you don't know what to do, but there's a difference of being lazy. There's a difference of
Oh,
not
whole
taking
nother
action.
conversation. Yeah, man.
There's some, we can go down the rabbit hole with this, so don't get it twisted. What we're just trying to say, or what I'm trying to say, is it's okay if you don't know what to do or what direction to go, as long as
Yeah,
you're going some type of direction. You can always make detours, you can make change, because life is a circle of roads going up and down and then going up. I don't know if you
yeah.
ever seen that picture. It's not a straight road, right? So that's what when we're saying, or I'm saying, and I don't, and I think you agree with this, Carlos.
Oh, I
Is
agree,
not
man.
that you don't need to have it figured out, but you do need to be doing something productive. You need to be increasing your value. You need to be doing something. It's okay to be pivoting, but not being lazy, not taking action. You're never gonna get there.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I've always believed that if you don't set goals for yourself, you become stagnant, you don't find purpose in life, and you get to a dark place in life because what is there to live for, right? What is there to strive for in life? So I would say to those that are listening to rule number 5 among this segment called the 7 rules of life, that yes, you need to stay calm because yeah, you may not have it all figured out, and know that in time you'll get there. So don't put those pressures on yourself, right? Don't put these imaginary pressures on yourself, because just because you're not there now does not mean it's not going to happen later on. I'm going to say it again. Just because you are not there now, it does not mean you will not be there. If that is your goal and you truly believe in that goal, then you can move forward towards that goal, reach towards that goal, and arrive at that destination. So to those that are applying those pressures on themselves, to those that are thinking, man, that 50, 20, 10, 30 rule, I'm just not there yet. Listen, set a goal, right? Set some goals for
And
yourself.
and small
Increase your,
start.
yeah, yeah.
No, and
Increase your
start with
value,
small
man.
goals, right? Yeah, but start with small goals. Sometimes
Achievable.
I think sometimes we set too many goals for ourselves that are too far out there, and it's
Yeah.
kind of, and then we can't achieve them and we get discouraged. So maybe set small milestones that'll get you there.
That'll help you create momentum to achieve those larger goals, right? That way you know what it feels like. That way you know what you can strive towards. So, yeah, I completely agree with rule number 5. You don't have to have it all figured out, but here's the thing: you do need a plan. You do need a plan. If you plan to succeed, that's great. But if you plan to fail, you will fail. So just because you don't have it all figured out does not mean you should not begin to create a roadmap. It doesn't
And you
mean
know
you
who
should not launch off on this journey. Yeah, man.
and you know who hasn't had it figured out? I don't know if you've been catching up, and I'm gonna switch here, but I
Yeah,
don't know
man.
if you've been I don't know if you've been catching up with the royal family and all the drama, Carlos.
Oh,
Talk
man.
about like not figuring it out, and they're still having in some deep waters. I don't know if you happen to catch the interview that that they release.
Can I be honest, man?
Go ahead.
I don't care. Just being honest, okay? I'm just going to listen,
Yeah.
I've been to England. Let me just say this: I've been to England. I hated England. I will
Mhm.
never go back to England. If you are from England, I respect the fact that you're from England, but I did not enjoy my time in England. I do not like it. I do not enjoy this royal family. And I know there are people in that country that struggle with this royal family because the people pay into this monarchy, right?
Mhm.
Some of their taxes go towards these people who have these elaborate lives, right? Who really don't make much of a difference or an impact in the world. They're just figureheads, right? It's
Yeah, it's
tradition
tradition.
being continued for the sake of it being continued. But now we see the effects, right? Now we see the effects of where tradition is forced. You see the results of just this mess, man.
So yeah, dude. So the mess, and I know you don't care, but here's what I wanted to point out. Right, the interview came out, and the main focal point is they were concerned about the color of his skin, right?
Come
And
on.
you can potentially see why, and I think that's wrong in today's society, and it's not acceptable in today, right?
Yeah, man.
They're looking at it from those people that are old school, right? And we still have some of those people that are racist, and and they're looking at it as like, oh, are we gonna have eventually someone of color in our pictures where it's, you know, royal family, why, and then suddenly someone of color? That's what that person who in the interview that they were talking, they don't know who, and they're not gonna say who, but I think that's what they were getting to, right? Is like that's their thought process of why they didn't want to give the titles to Archie, the kid, right? Is
Yeah, he's not a prince, right?
because
He's
they
not a
took away the
prince.
title because they
That's
were
right.
concerned about the color of his skin and the way and all this other stuff. It, but what I want to say, and of course, what I wanted to point out with this story is about not judging people, right? Because they crucified her saying that she had a lot of stuff and we don't know the ins and outs and the inside conversations that people are having. And what I want to point out with this story is, I don't know if you know who from Chadwick Boseman is. He's the
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
who played Black Panther, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Extraordinary actor, super pumped up in
Sick as a
amazing
dog.
physique. No, but hold on, amazing physique in the movie, and then suddenly he got colon cancer, right? And he started to become skinny. We didn't know because it was not in the media. He started to get skinny. People started making fun of him, memes, and saying like, "Oh, look at this guy. He's on drugs. What's going on with his weight loss?" Making fun of him, not knowing that this guy was battling for his life. He ended up passing away, but people were judging. The internet was judging, and we didn't even know what this man was going through. Same thing with this, is people were crucifying her, and we didn't really know what's going on, what she's battling, what the fights, the interracial issues that she's having.
Yeah. Yeah.
and people are judging. So if anything we can take from the story is, man, is like, let's not be quick to judge somebody, because we don't know what their inner struggles are. We don't know what they're going to, and maybe somebody sometimes needs a helping hand. It's like, hey, dude, are you okay? How many people are out there? Is like, all I wanted was, from the suicide people out there, right? They're saying it's like, all I wanted was somebody to tell me, hey, I'm here for you. How can I help?
Yeah.
Right? I
No,
care
absolutely.
about you. So that's what I want to take from the story. Not about the royal family, but just, man, it's like, dude, sometimes it's not be so quick to judge people, because we don't know what their inner battles are.
Yeah. No, we never know what's going on inside the house unless you go inside, right? Listen,
Yeah.
man, I did the castles. I went to the castles. I saw how much money is in this life. I went to Buckingham Palace. Man, I did all of it. All
How
of it.
about the food?
Bro, the food was disgusting. I'm
No,
sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, no, 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 no. You know what? You know what? You know what? You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. English breakfast. That's some good stuff. They've got some good breakfast, right? And they got some good fish and chips, man. But that's it.
fish and chips.
Fish and chip. That's it, man. But that was it for me. That's all I ate the whole time I was there. But I just didn't enjoy it, man. And I don't know if it was because of this whole royal thing and how elaborate it was, and how there's a museum for the crowns, museum for the horses, museum for the carriages, and they're spread out throughout the country. Like, they're spread out throughout the city, and you got to go to all these places, and you got to set up these reservations. It's expensive to get in. Listen, man, if that floats your boat, then you go right ahead. But my whole thing out of this situation is somebody made a meme the other day, man, and they said, Harry is simply. Let me get this right. Harry is simply doing this because of what they did to his mom. If you know what happened, if you know the story, if you don't know the story, I'm not even going to tell you. Those of you that, if you don't know the story of what happened, go back, take a read, just a read as to what happened to his mom, and you may think to yourself, "Wait a minute now, could it be? Could
There's a
he
bunch
be
of
doing this?"
conspiracies, man. There's a
There's
bunch
so
of
much out
conspiracies.
there, right? So much.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, Alex, at the end of the day, I don't care.
No,
I don't, man.
and I'm the
I
same,
don't.
and I'm the same way. I'm too busy worrying about myself, right? That
I'm
we
too busy
touched on
worried
it
about my
before.
country, right?
Yeah, we're worrying about myself, our country, what's going on. How do we make our lives go back to normal? How do we enjoy the things we want to enjoy? How do we go to the store without mask and all these other? So there's plenty more important things out there
Yeah, yeah.
than the royal family. I just wanted to make sure that we touched on that, because it's, if anything, that's what I take away from the story.
And the
And
whole ship. Listen, I said I wasn't going to talk about this. I'm sorry, Alex, but listen, I'm not saying enough about this family intentionally, because some of you may not get this, but it's complicated. The way the transition plan is set up for people in power, and who's the next prince, who's the next king, who's the next queen, who's next in line. Man, if you begin to do your research as the way this works, Alex, you'd say, man, why? Right? Why? No political
well, I
power.
do, I
Boris
do
Johnson,
understand.
bro, won't even comment on it. Won't
Dude, I
even
kind of
comment
know.
on
It's like a Game of Thrones. It's like a Game of Thrones. It's like, this guy's title because of this, because of that. This guy, no. Now this guy's had a kid, so now that goes out. It's like, but yeah. But anywho, right? Let's go ahead and kick us off
So
with our
if I
next
say,
topic.
man, if I say, what am I worried about? I'm worried about the American recovery plan that just got signed yesterday into the bill, right? It just became law yesterday, and I'm excited about it. I'm
Yep.
excited for our country that there is a third round of checks going into households. It took a long time to get there. I'm upset that it didn't happen sooner, but now what does that mean for you, right? That means some of you will be getting a $1,400 check, right? If you make under those certain thresholds, that certain amount that we talked about at the last episode. Now your kids also get a check for those $1,400, right? They get that. Unemployment comes in at $300 a week without it being taxed, right? Now you
Mhm.
also get extra cash per child this year in just when it comes to credits, right? It's going to run between 3 to 3,600 in child credits. FEMA will pay you back up to 7 grand if you had a family member that passed away from COVID. Another they're saying is,
Well, hold on, hold on,
oh
hold on.
man, there's some good stuff,
So,
man. There's some good
so
stuff.
how do they determine who gets that? How do they? I guess they need to do their own research, but I mean that's because I know personally, a couple of family people close to us that they had a family that passed away because of COVID,
Yeah.
and I mean if they're gonna get a relief, I mean I guess it's like who gets that, like their partners, their
They need to go talk to their tax attorney right away.
yeah.
Right away, you need to go talk to your tax attorney.
So how
Seven
much was that again? So just in
seven
case they don't know.
thousand dollars, seven
Oh,
thousand dollars for COVID funeral reimbursements.
yeah,
You know,
I
the
mean,
most simple funeral out there will run you about 10 grand.
yeah,
So
no,
there's
no,
seven
it's
grand
a
right off the
help for them, right? Especially some people that didn't have the means to cover this. That's good for them for
Yeah,
sure.
man. No, 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 absolutely. You just got to make sure you prove it. At the end of the day, remember, you're still dealing with the government, right? They still want to see proof. They still want to make sure these things happen.
Yeah,
For
I
the
mean,
first
that's why
ten thousand dollars,
there's death certificates.
that's right. That's right. So for the first $10,000 that you get back in unemployment in 2020, you don't have to worry about it being federally taxed, right? That's for the first 10 grand. Free Cobra premiums were going to go up, are going to go through September. Independent restaurants and bars are going to get assistance or some money dedicated, billions of dollars for those. We've talked about it last week. Housing assistance for those handling those rent vouchers, those mortgage vouchers. Listen, there's money there, and then there's a positive sign for student loans, and they're going to break that down later on. But here's the other part, man, that wasn't in the actual bill, right? But I'm excited that come May, everyone will be able to get a vaccine if they're looking to get a vaccine, right? So this American recovery plan, I don't know if you've seen lately, and we haven't talked about this much, Alex, but the market has been taking some serious hits, man. The
Yeah,
market has been taking some
I've
serious
been
hits
watching it like a hawk for sure, and then we haven't
like
discussed
this.
because no, I've had it in the background, because I'm
Yeah,
interested.
man.
I don't know if I told you, but I don't know if I might have mentioned it, but I sold all my position that I had in Tesla when it was still high up,
Yeah, I know.
because I
I
wanted to
thought I told you to
capture
do
my
that.
profits. Yeah, yeah, but I'm still watching it because I definitely wanted to go down. So, sorry for the people that are still in it, but I'm looking forward for it to go down because I want to jump back into it because I still have a lot of faith in Tesla. I just didn't want to.
Always buy back, right? There's always the
Yeah, yeah.
opportunity to buy back. Yeah,
Yeah, so
man.
it's like I'm hoping that it'll go back down, and then I want to buy it at a certain price, and then just let it skyrocket back because I believe
Yeah.
that it'll go back up. A lot of what these other stocks, of course, if you're buying stocks that are not that good, maybe they won't recover. But the market always in 10 years always recovers. So just
Always
keep that in
bounces
mind.
back. Always, but yeah, absolutely. So if I'm worried about anything between the royal family and America getting back to, I don't want to say the word getting back to work. No, no, no. For America to just recover in certain ways and put money in Americans' money and get this economy rolling again. I mean, there was some pretty over the past 2 days. There's been not significant shifts, right? But
Yeah.
there's been some shifts where the market is responding well to this relief bill, right? So I'm excited about it. I'm excited where we're heading. In my own business, I've already seen an increase in revenue just for the month of March. January and February probably started a little low, but I have seen I mean, honestly, man, I've seen a 200% jump increase in March right off the bat, and we just started what 12 days ago. So I'm excited where we're heading as an economy. I really am. But there's something else that is still kind of lingering, Alex.
Yeah,
The other
I wanna get your advice on because some of us listeners were asking, right, this relationship advice.
yeah. Well, there's just it still lingers because you know why? People are interested, right? People want to know, how do I make certain things happen? How do I do this as an individual? I'm struggling. I feel like I'm not connecting. I feel like my wires are off. I was reading. Now, listen, I don't know about you, Alex, but I love to read some Oprah. Do you ever read Oprah? The Oprah
No,
magazine? You ever read that?
no, not really, dude. I mean, I'm not too much into in. I mean, it's never really grasped my attention,
Yeah, yeah.
you
Well, the
know. So
reason
I
I
don't
say
really
this,
know. They must have some good stuff in there, some bad stuff. I don't know because I just don't look into it.
yeah. So here's what I'm gonna say. So there was an article recently in the Oprah magazine, okay, that talks about relationship advice, and Oprah, you know who Oprah is, man.
Yeah,
Oprah,
yeah, a billionaire
Oprah will
too, right?
share some, yeah, absolutely. But her and Gail, and Gail is one of her best friends.
Hmm.
they they bring in this relationship expert, and according to this article, this was I think like 2 years ago. Here are some things that they pulled from it, okay, and I'm going to break them down, and I'll try not to elaborate too much on these. But the first one right off the bat was schedule dates to talk about your relationship. Now think about that. Schedule a time, schedule a date with whoever your significant other is, whoever you may label, to just sit down and talk about your relationship. How are we? Is there something that I'm not doing enough of? Have I made you upset today? Did I make you upset last week? How can I do better as a partner, right? What does that look like? Where are some areas that you see for me that I should probably think about creating some kind of growth, right? And listen, this isn't one of those things that's, look, being a Hispanic, right? Unfortunately, in our culture, it's always the machismo, right? It's always, man, we don't
Yeah,
talk about this stuff. We take our feelings, we swallow them, and we never bring them back up, right? Like, don't even bring feelings and emotions into
yeah.
this.
We make fun of them because they're crying or something, and just because crying is a form of not knowing how to express yourself sometimes,
Right,
right? Depends on the
right,
form, but of course,
right.
I'm just
Weakness.
saying that's how our culture sees it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So in this particular aspect of a relationship, you don't hear these things, right? We don't tell each other these things, and no matter what race you may be, no matter what group you may fall in, I'm just using as an example that some of these things may come across as that's a little much, Carlos. Well, here's the thing: these relationship experts have realized that the relationship itself gets better over time if you practice these things. So, again, schedule dates to talk about your relationship. Let's go with that first one. Second one is you need to be candid about your feelings, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I have always been a proponent of you need to set clear expectations, right? Don't expect the other person to read your mind. And you can't read their mind either. So set these realistic expectations and say, I was expecting this, because what happens is when you don't set those expectations and you don't communicate, then what happens, Alex? There's friction, right? It
Yeah.
creates separation. It creates anxiety. There's a madness there where someone's ticked off. And listen, as I'm going through these, you jump in anywhere you feel like you want to comment, man, because I'm going to shoot these as soon
No, go ahead. Do
as
you think?
quickly as possible. The other one is figure out the reoccurring issues in your relationship, right? And then do something about them. If there is something that is always coming up, I'm going to repeat it again. If there is always something that is coming up, it's a reoccurring thing, and you do not change it. I'll say it again. And you do not change it. Good luck, right? So there's that one. Now, the other one is don't expect your partner to be your BFF, right? Your BFF usually tells you everything you want to hear. Would you agree, Alex?
Yes.
So in that situation,
Yeah.
don't
So
expect
so
your
you
partner to be your
you
BFF in that way, right? You want your partner to be your BFF in a relationship way, right? Where they're your best friend, they're your partner, they're your confidant, they're your lover, etc. Yes, yes, yes. That aspect, yes. But in terms of, don't expect them to always give you the pretty stuff. They need
yeah
to
you gotta
tell
you
you
gotta
where
be
you need to
humble.
work on. That's right. That's
You
right.
gotta be you gotta be humble to receive criticism and know how to take it and own it. And then it we apply this to anything, even in work, right? and I'll let you
That's
go.
right.
But basically, is like sometimes it's easier for somebody to say, "Hey, I made a mistake. I own it. It was my bad. It was my fault." And guess what? Everybody moves from it faster. But when you
That's
don't
right.
want to own it, that's where most people have a conflict.
That's right. That's right. No, you're absolutely right. The other one is here's the other one, and this is called mirroring. So those that are listening in school, if you took any any psych classes, this is going to jump out at you and be a good memory. Focusing on mirroring. The relationship expert wanted to touch on this and said, before you comment, before you speak back, right? Repeat their words out loud. Like remind them of what they have just said, whether it cuts you, whether it hinders, whether it breaks you down. Before you comment and say anything, repeat their words out loud, right? So what that will do, right? So in other words, you ever been in those arguments where you say, so what you're saying is you think we need more time for just us without friends or kid around. You see how you're repeating that? You see how before you comment, you're taking what they have just said just to make sure you're understanding what they're trying to say to you, that you are on the same level. You ever done that?
Not like that, but maybe in a different way.
Oh yeah. And here's what the relationship expert has said is that this will not only dramatically improve the accuracy and the quality of communication by allowing that correction to take place and to removing those misinterpretation, but what it will do is it will create a strong sense of being heard and understood in each partner. Kind of a cool way of doing it if you've never done that. Here's the other one. Remember, don't just say how you feel, you got to show it. You know I love you, right? So que te quiero, right?
Ya hay una cachetada ahí en
Right, right. Yeah.
nada.
No. Remember, don't just say how you feel. You got to show it. Now, here's the other part. Don't be afraid to talk about money. A lot of relationships struggle with this topic, and it's usually a lot of the problems derive and they stem from money, right? So don't be
There's two
afraid to talk
things.
about it, right?
There's two things that always affects people, right? It's
Yeah.
money is always one, right? If the well is dry, people are gonna have conflicts. So it's how do you work to make sure that the well's always full? And another thing is, is sex, right? That's where a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of issues happen. And it's not on here, but I've seen a lot of articles where you were talking about scheduling time to talk about your feelings and talk about your relationship. There's been
Yeah.
times where I've read on different articles where the the person the counsel that's helping them is like, dude, if you guys are both busy, you guys got
Yeah.
to schedule time to have sex. As
Yeah.
weird as
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sounds, right?
Yeah.
And
Put it on your
you guys
schedule,
might
man.
they may find that weird, right? I'm not saying I do that personally or whatever, but
Yeah, no,
it
but it's true. That's what experts say. Absolutely.
yeah, that's what experts say. If you guys are both that busy, you got to schedule a time where, hey, this is where we smash.
All right, so getting back to it, talk about money. It's okay. Don't be afraid. You need to talk about your worries and your concerns of money, right? If you're worried about a financial goal, talk about it. You got to do that. Listen, the expert has said, and I love this, it says, a couple that communicates about their financial goals and is willing to work together to achieve them will likely have a deeper bond. Check that out. So if you communicate accordingly and you talk about money and you don't run away from money, whether you don't have enough or whether you have more of, talk about it. Make that happen because what it will do is it will draw in a deeper bond. And then the other one is you got to choose to love your partner every day. No matter what, it says that my favorite piece of advice is the idea that every day we wake up and decide to feel affection towards our partner. You cannot wake up, guy. Listen, man, and this is quite sad, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm not gonna bring up examples, but you see it in other couples, right? You see it in couples that are going through it because you can tell. But you've got to wake up and feel the affection towards that other partner. You can't wake up and treat them like they don't exist, right? You got to wake up every day. When you wake up, the first thing you got to notice is a flaw in your partner, right? If you notice a flaw, then it's hard to connect, right? It's hard to feel connected in love for the rest of the day because what you started your day with is a flaw, right? Instead of focusing on choosing to love your partner. Now think about what it does to them. Listen, man, this article, I read this article pretty deep, man. And I'll leave it at this, and I'll tell you why I'm going to leave it at this one versus the other one. That when you fight in a productive way, right? In other words, if you're going to fight about something, make sure that at the end you learn to just kill it, right? Fight about it, talk about it, express yourself, but kill it, right? Because then you feel, and honestly, you align yourself with this mindset of we get through this, we get through this together, and we move forward. Now, there's a last piece of this article that I try to I'm shying away from, man, because it's quite interesting, but it says
Yeah,
ask your
I don't
friends
agree.
for advice. The reason
Nah.
I don't agree, and maybe you might be right there with me, man. The reason
Mm.
I disagree about asking your friends for advice is because you don't know where they're at in their relationship if they're not sharing it with you, right? Sometimes
And
they
first
can
of
lead
all,
you
nobody.
astray.
And plus, they don't know both sides of the story. They're not
That's
living
right.
in your shoes. They don't know what's
That's
going
right.
on from both sides. So they don't know if you may be painting it a certain way, right? So no, I don't agree with that. That one we can scratch that one off.
But listen, if things are going good, you need to share that with your friends, right? Because maybe your friends, maybe somebody you've never shared relationship advice with, if you tell them some of these things that are going well and you share that, maybe they'll learn something in their own relationship. So again, it's
Well,
just
one thing is
how you
sharing.
ammo that
One,
up, right?
yeah, one thing is sharing, and the other thing is getting advice.
That's right. Yeah, you're
Sharing,
absolutely right.
listening, taking it into account, but ultimately they're not living in your shoes.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's where you got to be careful. And I get it. I do. I get it. So that kind of hopefully will help those individuals that are still focused on this relationship. And we'll try to talk about it again, guys. What we're trying to do is give you a balance of everything. We've kind of taken a slight back seat on the politics because we've noticed that that's not a fun fact. And that's okay. But, like we'll talk about this recovery bill. If there's anything else that's happening in government, we'll bring it up and we'll try to simplify it, kind of like what we've done today. But we want to make sure we give you a variety of things, right? That if your thing is not business and it's relationship, hey, we've just hit it. If your thing is specifically investments in business, we've hit it today. In relationships, not, you just skip right over it. That's why we want to encourage you to listen to the whole show, of course. Speak back to us, talk back to us, write us. We would love to hear from you. But Alex, is there anything else that you'd like to say, man, before
No,
we
man,
jump
I
into the
think
quote of the
I
day?
think we're no, I think let's go ahead and do the quote of the day.
Yeah, man. So this author is straight up known. You ever read one of those quotes that you see and you're like, man, that was really good, and then it's like unknown. Somebody wrote it, but we're not going to talk about who wrote it. I mean, I've always not understood that. But today's it's coming from the becoming unbusy. It's funny how today's topics usually somehow in the midst of this conversation all kind of connect with being busy, whether that's in relationships, whether that's in partners, and when to stop, when not to stop. It's shown, it's been back and forth on it. But this individual author says, for once, just stop and thank yourself for how far you've come. This goes back to that rule of life, right? That rule of life of it's okay not to have it all figured out. But it says, for once, stop and thank yourself for how far you've come. You've been trying to make changes in your life, and all of your effort counts. So don't stop. Keep pushing, right? Just because you're not where you want to be, it does not mean that is the destination. I'll say it again. For once, stop and thank yourself of how far you've come. You've been trying to make changes in your life, and all of your efforts count. So, again, as you think about your life, as you think about these rules, as you think about where you're heading, look, at the end of the day, you got to give yourself some credit, right? You got to give yourself some credit because at the end of the day, if you keep pushing towards that goal, you keep pushing what you got to do, you'll arrive and your destination will be fulfilled. My name is Carlos.
This is Alex. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace. The time heals. Don't go starting with the laugh, cause you're my
Oh, yeah.
girl. You heard that now? And I'm like, of course you will.
Dame otra,
You're
dame
paying
otras,
for it. Is he
dame otra
okay? Of
free
course.
beer. Dame
Hey,
otra free beer. It's free. It's free. I'm gonna drink as many as I want because I'm gonna get fucked up tonight. Oh shit, it don't have no alcohol. It's all right. I'll pretend I'm drunk.